This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
This is absolute tosh.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Well, the good news is that the weather experts believe it's not too late for June to heat up. You hear that? The bad news is we're running out of June. Forecaster James from Exacta Weather. Come on. Is there anything exact about weather forecasting?
No.
Exacta Weather. James said it was an abysmal start to the summer. Yeah, well, we know that. You can be exact when you're talking about things that have already happened. We're more interested in things that are gonna happen. He said, with better weather on the horizon in the coming weeks, a flaming June is still on the cards. You hear that? Flaming. We'll take it. The Met Office says there's an outside chance of temperatures hitting 77 degrees Fahrenheit in London and the southeast on Sunday. Oh, it'll be as warm as February. 77 degrees. And for you kids who like that newfangled centigrade temperature, you double it and add 32 to get centigrade. So double 77 is, double 7 is 16. So double 77 is 16 and 16. So that's 1,616. And add 32, it's about 1,800? It's going to be 1,800 degrees centigrade on Sunday. Can you believe that?
No.
But there has been a little moisture in the air. Have you noticed? There's 17 flood warnings and 56 flood alerts issued by the Environment Agency. I don't know what you're thinking. What's the difference between a flood warning and a flood alert? Well, a flood alert sounds like this.
Warning, warning.
And a flood warning sounds like this. And that was after a week that brought double the normal amount of rain for the whole of June in just a few days. Pouring out the sky, all over our upturned faces it was. Heavy rain and flooding caused disruption to trains in the northwest. Rail services were disrupted in the East Midlands. Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue said nearly half of its call-outs overnight were related to the weather. In the Midlands, people needed rescuing from cars in floodwater. The Met Office said there's a chance that some communities could become cut off.
Oh, no.
They said conditions on the roads will be treacherous with surface water, flooding and intense rainfall, so they advise you speed up. Crank up the stereo to its maximum volume.
Rock and roll!
And tailgate the car ahead. Undertake whenever you can and fly over blind rises and around corners like you're in a film starring Vin Diesel. Nothing bad will ever happen to you because you're special. And now the good news. There are currently no Met Office warnings in place past today. So only another 2 hours to go. And then you can remove the sandbags from the front of your ass. Conditions are forecast to be drier. Can you remember drier? Conditions are forecast to be warmer and sunnier. But, and it's a huge, giant, wobbling, moist but, there is a risk of heavy and thundery showers in some places. Mostly over Glastonbury, I expect. It seems to be hitting the Isle of Wight. Wet, wet, wet got wet. I bet George Ezra will get wet. But, to be fair, George Ezra arrived wet.
Correct.
He was wet before he showed up. He's one of those blokes who sings through his nose, isn't he? God, there's so many of them about. Here's the 3-day weather outlook. Tonight, evening will be mostly dry except for Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland. I bet I know which part. Saturday, temperatures generally below average but a little sunnier. So that means it's sort of getting better-ish. Sunday and Monday. Wait a minute, this is not a 3-day weather outlook. This is a 3 or 4-day weather outlook. Incorrect. Inexact. It says on Sunday there's going to be a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers. Now, would you like to know the forecast for the rest of the month and into July? Well, it very much depends on what the forecast is like, I suppose you're thinking. Well, here it is. Get ready to grip onto something firm. Tuesday through Thursday, the 27th of June. So that is pretty much the rest of this month. Somewhat drier, although it would be going some to be somewhat wetter, wouldn't it? Somewhat drier and more settled. It's going to be warmer than of late with some sunshine. Southern areas may become very warm for a time. Well, that's a bit vague. What does that mean? Very warm. In the final week of June, there are signs of more widely settled and warm weather. Oh. But here's the forecast for almost the first 2 weeks of July, when it really, really, really needs to be super hot and warm. Otherwise, the summer's a washout. Another one of those. Again. You know, we had a year like last year, and we kid ourselves. The same thing happened at the beginning of this year. There was that one day in February, remember? Everybody went berserk and thought, well, we can put our woolies away. No, you can't. Have we learned nothing all the time that we've been alive and living in this country? Have we learned nothing at all? Summer doesn't start at least until mid-July. So what's it going to be until mid-July? Well, it could be a continuation of mostly dry and warm weather for the southeast of the UK, along with light winds, which would have a sound effect if only I had the right page up. Light winds, you say?
I know a lot about wind. I know a lot about wind.
Yeah, it's eating a dinner out of a bucket, Donny. Windier and wetter conditions are likely in the northwest. You know where that is, don't you? Into July, there's more chance of showers and longer spells of rain across the country generally, although the south and the southeast will still see the warmest and driest conditions, which is why it's more expensive to live there. Listeners in Glasgow will get their own weather.
Correct.
And I can check for you while you wait. Okay, you want me to tell you? Raining tonight and raining tomorrow and raining on Sunday and raining on Monday. Cloudy on Tuesday and raining on Wednesday and raining on Thursday. Cloudy on Friday, Saturday, and then raining on Sunday and raining on Monday, and cloudy on Tuesday and raining on Wednesday and cloudy on Thursday. You ain't going to see the sun at all. Not now, not ever, never. But, you know, there's perhaps it has been overpraised, the sun. It's not that great. You ain't missing nothing. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Are these calls for me? They are. They're a bit keen, aren't they? Haven't even done the weather yet. Rude. So there's a couple of festivals on at the moment. And the lineups sound just fantastic, don't they?
No.
Music aficionados braved a tornado on the Isle of Wight, while some festival goers abandoned a described mud bath at the Download Festival. And they're going to get more rain. The sodden conditions, it says in the Mail, did little to dampen the spirits of revellers arriving for the Island Festival, which is headlined by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Oh, they are fantastic.
Boring.
And George Ezra and the well-known spelling mistake, Biffy Clyro. Who is that? Who is Biffy Clyro?
A good band.
Well, that's not telling me anything. But you have made a tremendous contribution to this show so far. I just want to make that point quite clear. Biffy Clyro. It sounds like a country and western singer who decided on a name while drunk. Biffy. And then Clyro. It's a no from me. As though the weather isn't depressing enough, by the way. George Ezra is headlining the main Saturday night act stage thing. At Download, the annual heavy metal rock festival in Donington Park, some punters left before the music had even started. What? Come on. Come back, kids. It's a George Ezra free zone. He ain't going to be playing the Download Festival. Actually, I'd pay a bit of money to see that. Can you imagine the reception that he would receive? I mean, they've got Slash and Def Leppard and Whitesnake. I mean, just between them, you'd think there's enough hairspray to melt the ozone and burn that rain right out of the sky. They've also got bands called Lamb of God, Behemoth, Godsmack, and Tool. none of which are names I made up. They also have ooze and mutilate and gouge playing. And they are names that I made up, but someone should make them their own straight away. Just call yourself Gouge, write the music, form a fan base, tour extensively, release an album, make it a hit, and we'll split the profits 50-50. What do you say?
No.
Thought not. Sounds like a lawsuit in the making. So, the Met Office said that music lovers, they hope that music lovers have, sound like Alan Freeman, all right? Music lovers. I still miss Alan Freeman, you know. God, I wish that the Saturday Rock Show was still on. Wouldn't that be marvellous? I still think of occasional moments in my youth, listening to radio that just really meant something to me. And there was one thing, I don't know why particularly, but he played Dark Horse by George Harrison. And there's a break about 3/4 of the way through. And I don't know why this stuck with me for, what year is it? It's almost 50 years. I can still remember it vividly as though I had heard it just yesterday. And the song ended and he said, "Let's get cheeky." And then he restarted the song at the break and played the last 3 or 4 minutes again. Why does that... I can remember him playing all of Wish You Were Here when that came out.
Groovy.
And he said at the end, "Well, I hope you enjoyed the experience, music lovers." How can I remember that? And I can't remember what I did last weekend. Still missing you, Alan. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Well, a little bit. So, gouge, ooze and mutilate are, as far as I'm aware, names that are still available for heavy metal bands.
Rock and roll!
I'm assuming that jazz outfits would deem them inappropriate. Chris says, never mind the country singer. It wouldn't surprise me if our next but one Prime Minister is called Biffy. I have more information about their name. Is that you? Is that you?
That's me.
Go on.
So apparently they've got various stories about where their name came from. One of them was it comes from a footballer called Biffy Clyro who played for South Ayrshire in the 17th century. Another reason...
How did they do, by the way?
I have no idea. Another story is
Did they play forfar?
Very, very good. Another was that they were thinking of manufacturing Cliff Richard merchandise, and they thought about the Laszlo biro pen and thought of Cliffy Biro. There's a couple of others here.
Oh my God, that's awful.
It's also an acronym, apparently, for Big Imagination, for Feeling Young, 'cause life yearns real optimism.
Wow, I hate them now even more than I did before. I have no idea who they are, but I really, really dislike them, if that's any help. I mean, I hate to be one to just leap to conclusions based on no information of any kind whatsoever. But we're all about feelings now, baby. 0345 6060 973. I've got plenty more I want to talk about there. Hey, if you've been to these festivals, then call me up and tell me what it was like. If you're at one right now and you're listening to this show, what the hell are you doing? Are you out of your minds? 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
The LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yeah, Joseph tweets, you should spend a few minutes talking about the band Carcass again. Your discombobulation was a joy to behold. Well, you know, I did rack my brain trying to come up with names for heavy metal acts that don't already exist. And it's not easy, I can tell you. As far as I'm aware, there is no band called Ooze. There's also no band called Mutilate or Gouge, but to my knowledge. But it is possible that they do actually exist. I did think Gristle, but somebody's already got Throbbing Gristle, so that's what actually one louder. So anyway, the Met Office said, hopefully music lovers have packed enough waterproofs and dry clothes. and warned of yet more weather to come overnight, and decidedly unsettled weather over the weekend ahead, with thundery outbreaks in places. And get this, and then the Daily Mail went and asked people, how'd you feel? One music fan said she spent £600 on the Download Festival, but left because of the weather. She said, we travelled home last night, got in at 4 a.m. Gutted is an understatement for how I feel about leaving. Well, you shouldn't have left then. She said, we couldn't have afforded a hotel, we couldn't afford to drive home and then go back up the next day. We made a very difficult decision to leave, and to all those who have made the same decision, I am sorry you felt the same way. How un-rock and roll is that?
Rock and roll!
It's damp, so you're leaving? She said, we wanted to save ourselves, our clothes, our belongings before they got drenched and ruined. Ruined? Yes, you went to see a band called, and I'm not making this up, Municipal Waste. Exactly what kind of clothes did you take that would be ruined by moisture? Another woman said she left the heavy metal festival because of the mud. Others said they were planning to stay in a hotel instead of camping. What? I am stunned. Louise Booth said that she booked a hotel just 6 miles from the festival. Now, you might have noticed a trend here, and I thought that this is beginning to sound a bit suspicious, because I wonder why the Daily Mail chose to talk to only women at the Download Festival who had fled because of the weather. Because it rather paints a weak picture of female heavy metalers, don't it? But they must have sought them out, because I bet that women aren't in the majority at a festival where you can wear any colour as long as it's black. I mean, I can understand people leaving the Isle of Wight festival, but that's got nothing to do with the weather. I mean, does anybody want to hear Noel Gallagher sing?
No.
Unless you know otherwise, in which case you must correct me. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Meanwhile, back with the issues, here is a call in Staines. Anthony.
Good evening, and thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Yes. We must be very pleased now, because we've now got double bubble.
What does that mean?
2 orange blobs, one that side and one this side of the Atlantic.
Oh,
You've
yes.
got twice the material now.
Well, two hair don'ts.
Yes. I'm rather worried about this boronation that we're having.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think we're in North Korea, but first we've had the coronation of the Maybot, which went well, didn't it?
Yeah.
And of course we had the coronation of Gordon Brown.
Yes.
That didn't go too well.
No, correct.
So do I see a pattern developing here?
Yes, precisely. Thank goodness we're getting our democracy back, eh? Gordon Brown was not elected by the people. Theresa May was not elected by the people, and our next Dreer leader won't be elected by the people. I mean, if you can say one thing about David Cameron, is that he was actually elected, if you can believe that.
I think this is nonsense.
Have you gone?
But we're being promised a glorious future by Stanley Johnson earlier. Did you hear him?
No, I didn't.
There's going to be confetti, there's going to be rice thrown, there's going to be garlands, there's going to be, glories we haven't ever seen before in this country. I think we heard something like that before, didn't we, after the Iraq War,
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the good times to start rolling. That one nation conservatism, as soon as they get their ducks in a row, then we'll probably be seeing the benefits. Can't wait. All right, thanks a lot, Anthony. 0345 6060 973. Carlin Dudley says, I'm off to Blackpool for the week tomorrow. Does that count as the Northwest, or are you talking about Scotland? I'm just wondering about the weather. I may cancel the whole thing and go across the road to Dudley Zoo instead. They've installed some new meerkats. Installed? Is that the right word? Meerkats. Ah, so cute. They're not cute. They're just frightened for their little furry lives. That's all. They stand on their hind legs because they're not imitating human beings. They're just getting to the highest position they can in order to prevent themselves from being eaten by, Got no idea. Cows. Do cows eat meerkats? I think they probably do. This says Biffy Clyro, spelt wrong, did a song with Nick Knowles from DIY. Soz, don't you know? DIY SOS, probably. Biffy Clyro did a song with Nick Knowles from DIY SOS, don't you know? No, I don't know. Tony in Woodford says, Matt Cardle, the winner of X Factor 2010, and then my interest dissipates. Do you actually want me to read the rest of that sentence?
No.
All right, then Nick, hi Nick, he says, Matt Cardle, the winner of X Factor 2010, did a cover of a Biffy Clyro song called Many a Horror, which reached number 1. The runners-up in the X Factor that year was a group called One Direction. Oy, One Dimension, more like. Another bunch of singing haircuts. No observable talent whatsoever. Could have been anybody. They might as well just pick them out of a phone book. It's like winning the lottery. You don't need to have any ability to pick those numbers. You just have to be in it to win it, which is where I often make the mistake. I don't buy a ticket. Do you have to actually buy a ticket to win the lottery? You do. This says, Gary says, how about having a band ironically pleasantly named, like Buttercups, for example? Yeah, that's a good idea. Or Pussycats. I want to see a band who've had every movable part of their body pierced. I want to see them weighed down by the by pounds of metal sticking out of every part. I don't want them to be called Pussycats. I want them to be almost invisible to the naked eye that they're tattooed so much. I want them to be called Fluffy Bunnies. SJ says, I thought you were going to suggest the metal name of Gout there for a minute. Yeah, I did think about that, but it's not very... It's something that elderly people get from drinking too much port, or that's traditionally what is considered to be the causes of gout. Stephen Upminster says, I'm at a festival with Joe Walsh, Led Zeppelin, Neil Young, Roxy Music, 70s Genesis, ELP and Pink Floyd. My turntable is heaving. Liking it? Not off. God, if that was on right now, I wouldn't be here right now. Don't tell you that. I'd tell with the greatest respect, I would tell my bosses that the same thing that I told the boss at my very first job, the Tudor Rose restaurant in Edinburgh. I said, I'm not coming in next Saturday because I've got tickets to a thing called Who Put the Boot In at Celtic Park, which featured, in reverse order, see if I can get this right, Little Feat, The Outlaws, Chapman Whitney Streetwalkers, who were absolutely sensational, the sensational Alex Harvey Band, who were beyond great, and an up-and-coming band called The Who.
Rock and roll!
And my boss at the time said, you're not going because Saturday's my busiest day. And that was the last day I worked there. I think I made the right choice. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you are on Twitter, you are almost certainly wasting your life. Put it down, step away from the screen. It's 10:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Serena Farrow.
Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Oh, blimey, where do I even start? And that news item about Jo Brand, by the way, and she said it was crass and insensitive. Well, you got that right. You know, if it hadn't been for a slew of stories about people throwing acid over each other, which is just totally horrific, I don't even want to think about it, then it might not have been as bad as the reaction warranted. Does that make sense? A little bit. But it has brought me together mentally with a person I never thought I would agree with on anything. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Richard Littlejohn. What? I am stunned. He says, no, I don't think Joe Brand should apologise or be sacked by the BBC for joking about throwing battery acid at Nigel Farage, or investigated by the old Bill. The clue is in the word joking. Brand is a comedian. She tells jokes for a living. Whether or not you find her funny is a matter of personal taste. Holy smoke. Who's taken over Richard Littlejohn's mind? He says, if you don't like her politics or material, you don't have to listen to her. So spare us the faux outrage. Wow. That's a first. I'm going to cut out this article and frame it. He said, nobody with any sense of proportion can seriously believe she was inciting people to throw acid at Farage. She says, Brand was talking about the fashion for chucking milkshake over right-wing politicians. Farage was on the receiving end while campaigning in Newcastle. Salted caramel flavour, I seem to recall, which is making a light out of that situation, it sounds like to me. It also sounds like a terrible waste of salted caramel-flavoured milkshake, which sounds pretty tasty to me. I never even heard of such a thing. But, yeah, it does seem that the people who like to throw the word snowflake out a lot do seem to be the most snowflakey. Or am I hallucinating? Christine says, my son and his wife are at Download, and yes, it is muddy. They're both over 50, and so staying in a hotel. I don't think the hotel are too happy about the mud. Well, that's not going to a festival, staying at a hotel. You've got showers and everything there. That's just, I don't know, it just wouldn't be right, because you'd arrive clean every day, which is pleasant enough, but you'd spend the entire time trying not to get dirty again, which is the antithesis of everything that a festival is about. You want to get in there, rummage around in the undergrowth. Thomas in Middlesex says, Andrew Castle covering on Smooth Radio in the evenings this week. What are the chances of hearing you on Capital Extra soon? I'd say about zero. Approximately zero, there or thereabouts. Here's a call in Uxbridge. Hello, Lewis.
Oh, hello, Nick.
See, that's where Joe Brand and I went to university, Uxbridge.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it the Brunel University?
Correctamundo.
Oh, I don't really. I think phoning the old Bill is a bit far-fetched for it. But I have to say one thing: is I'm going to the Brexit rally on the 30th of June, and if someone decides to throw battery acid over my pretty face, I think I'll be.
Aggrieved.
Yeah.
Nobody should throw battery acid or anything else, for that matter, over anybody.
It's disgraceful. But anyway, moving on from that.
Yeah.
I'll give you my...
What is this march you're going on?
It's the Big Vision at the NEC in Birmingham. Tickets are £2.50.
Too blooming much. What do you get for £2.50?
Nigel Farage.
Oh my God!
But you get him anyway, don't you? On LBC.
So you're paying £2.50, or he's paying you to show up?
No, I'm paying £2.50.
Right.
In addition, I'm paying £22 for a return fare. On the train line, probably £12 on TfL fares. I haven't had any work coming in freelancing wise for about 3 weeks now, so it's probably not going to work out as financially feasible.
So who is this? Who's organising this Big Vision? What is this Big Vision I hear so much about?
What it is, it's Brexit's manifesto. The Brexit Party introducing manifestos.
Oh, they've thought of one, have they?
They have. Well, they're thinking of one.
They've actually thought of a policy. Oh, that's nice.
I don't know what it is yet, but that's why I'm attending, to see what it's all about, because it sounds very interesting. The festivals aren't really my cup of tea. Where all my mates are down there this weekend, I'm just listening to you. You're making me less miserable, because you always make me laugh. You and Steve Allen. I've got cracked open a few cans of Foster's. I may have gout, but probably IBS.
I think gout is the constant. You have to. No, see, I don't know what I'm talking about now. You do not take medical advice from me, or any other kind of advice for that matter.
Correct.
But isn't gout the product of having a more concentrated alcohol?
Well, I have every type of alcohol under the sun.
Oh, right, okay. So you do not limit yourself only to beer.
I don't take any drugs like some of the politicians once did once upon a time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, once upon a time. Yeah, they did it just once, and it was a mistake, and they regret it. They've regretted it every moment since.
Oh, what's a load of cobblers, eh? What's a load of cobblers, eh? Honestly, he's taking toots of Richard Gere and Boris Johnson, who couldn't find Uxbridge with a sat-nav in my constituency, which is falling to pieces.
See, I always wondered about that. How often does Boris Johnson actually show up in Uxbridge?
Well, I've never seen him there at all. I'm always in the good jar, and every other day I'm in the good jar. When I get a moment spare, I go down and have a chat with the locals. I'm only 22.
Where's the good jar?
It's in the Uxbridge Good Jar, and it's one of the Weatherspoons that's cheap and cheerful. It's on the high street, and it's full of old boys for time 20.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I worked in a pub for 5 years during the day, so I know exactly the kind of people that show up there.
Well, like people like me, miserable, whinging, whining and moaning.
Yeah, that's about it.
Stop whining.
They sit at the end of the bar and nurse a bottle of stout for about 3 hours and complain and complain and complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
I also have this little game I've got going on in the pub where who can cough the loudest. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
That's a game?
It's a game in my mind.
Well, how does the game work?
Well, someone starts off in the corner going, and then I might add my little bit.
Yeah.
And then it will go round and round in circles, and it just won't stop. It goes on all night, all day. Happens all the time.
Wow, that sounds like a fantastic game.
Boring.
Are you out of your mind?
Brilliant. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant when you're reading the paper as well.
Yeah.
When I was reading Andrew Pearce's column earlier on, just
coughing away.
Coughing away, yeah. Good fun.
Oh, yeah, well, I think that redefines the word good and fun. All right, Lewis, I think I've got to go. 0345 6060 973. I've got a tickly throat. Don't start me off. Martin says, don't forget to wish Trump a happy birthday. That's right. The screaming Mimi's got a birthday today. I bet he's, having met the Queen, having bored the ears off the Queen the other day, I bet, oh God, the lights have just gone out. Isn't that curious? I find that highly suspicious, actually, that the moment I start talking about Ancient Orange, the lights go out. Coincidence? I don't think so. But boring the ears off the Queen... Oh, wait a minute, I have to wave my arms in the air like I just don't care. Sitting here doing the disco dancing just to keep the blooming lights on. They should provide me with a stationary bicycle. I mean, the lights go off in order to save the planet. We're just trying to do our bit to protect the environment. But I could sit here and do like a stationary bike. Or give me a treadmill or something. And we could actually make money out of this show. I could create enough electricity to put it back up the national grid. Think about it. 0345 6060 973. Paul says, did you know that Billy Ray Cyrus, featured on the biggest song in the world, is featured on the biggest song in the world right now? It's called Old Town Road. And it's by the US rapper country singer Lil Nas X. You're making this stuff up. Country rap. Now, if you were going to shorten that, because that's way too many syllables, that's 3 syllables, country rap, how would you shorten that? Let me think about that for a couple of minutes. He says, my ears bled when I heard it. George Ezra has 3 songs in the top 42. You are kidding me. Ed Sheeran has 2 in the top 5. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ed, but you have delighted us enough. He says, one with Justin Bieber and one with Chance the Rapper. What happened to Alan Freeman in the good old days of music? They're gone, long gone. Well, those days are gone, but the music's still here.
Rock and roll!
That ain't going nowhere. Fortunately, it's still here. And you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to wait for the next album by. You don't have to wait for the follow-up to Dark Side of the Moon. It's here already. Martin says, Roger, you have to pronounce this the right way, Roger Scott on Capitol in the 1970s. The DJ's DJ. He says, I hear it's raining in Glasgow now. Yeah, well, I think it probably is. Roger Scott is the DJ's DJ. Those of you who can remember back that far, and I certainly can, well, recall that he was the fella that made every DJ for about the next 20 years pronounce the letter S as an SH. Yesh. That was his fault, that was. He was also the first DJ to play more than 2 songs in a row without putting a jingle in the middle to alleviate any alarm in the listener that the DJ had died. Because back in the day they used to go on and on and on and yakking and just never stop talking. It was all me, me, me. And then every now and again they'd be nice enough to play a piece of music after they'd stopped telling us about their blooming breakfast or or the next stop on the road show. Roger Scott, on the other hand, he used to play one Bruce Springsteen song and then play another 3 after it. 4 in a row on the Roger Scotty show. That was a revolution. Thanks for the memories, Rog. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday or Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Now, I just wanted to really say that I love you. I respect you. There's nobody I respect more. You're going to do a fantastic job.
Thanks a lot, Donnie. You're the best. You're the best, worst president ever. Did you see this new poll? Oh, my God. You think that if Bozo, ex of the FO, becomes our new DREA leader, it's bad, but it could be much, much worse than that. Guess who could be, in the not-too-distant future, the Prime Minister of this country?
I'm a nutcase.
Exactly. There's this poll out which is alarming. It should be alarming to each and every person in this country. Nigel Farage could be our next Prime Minister. Or next but one. There's a poll out that suggests that it's not just at the European elections that the Brexit Party could be the winners. Labour and Conservatives, says the Daily Mail, are showing no sign of recovering popularity among voters as the Brexit Party continues to lead the way, a new poll suggests.
Oh, no.
Nigel Farage's infant outfit. I like that. His infant outfit remains the best backed party ahead of the next election. With more, if only we were having another election. Wouldn't that be awful?
Yes.
Thank goodness that we're taking back democracy and that we're not being allowed to vote for our next leader. Otherwise it could be you-know-who. It's the best-backed party, is Nigel's, ahead of the next election, with more than a quarter, 26% of voters who expressed a preference, saying that they really, really love him. This is according to an analysis by YouGov for The Times. Now, of course, if Nigel Farage's infant outfit had not won this particular poll by YouGov, then his fans would be on the phone screaming that that YouGov are biased and they are not to be trusted, and it's not the poll that matters, and so on and so forth. But because he won in this particular poll, then no second referendum in this particular case needs to be taken.
We should have a second referendum.
The Remainer Lib Dems are still second. You believe that? What on earth is going on? Am I hallucinating, or is this real life? Labour and the Tories, you'd think that the last go-around would be a blip, that people who are single-issue obsessives would have gone out in small numbers, let's be honest, and voted for the Brexit Party, and similarly in even smaller numbers gone out and voted for the Liberal Democrats, because they're the only major party that seems to have made up its mind on this issue. Them and the Greenies.
Yowza.
But apparently not, because the Tories and the Labour Party haven't gone up since the poll at the European elections. They've actually gone down.
What?
And there's a picture of Nigel. There's a picture of Nigel Farage with his mouth open as wide as the Mersey Tunnel. How does he do it? He's like those snakes that can unhinge their jaw in order to swallow buffalo. I challenge you to find a picture with Nigel Farage with his mouth closed. I bet you can't do it. A brand new car to the person who can find a picture of Nigel Farage with his mouth closed. This offer not available. Terms and conditions apply. Always read the label. So he was at number 10 Downing Street. And he was, I don't know who he was with. I should have done my research. I haven't done my research on this show. Can you believe that?
Yes.
But he was at number 10 Downing Street with a letter for Mrs. M, as though that poor lady hadn't suffered enough. Poor Mrs. M. How's being Prime Minister working out for you so far?
Oh, fabulous.
I bet she can't wait to kick off her clown shoes and put her feet up and relax. Take a break, Mrs. M. You deserve it. So he was at number 10 and he was handing in a missive, and he was carrying a brolly, and so was the fellow beside him. And I was curious about that, because did you notice that they were both using the same umbrella? And so I actually looked it up. I had to stop the video in order to examine the logo on the side of the umbrella, because I thought, are they advertising somewhere? Why would two men who are not living together leave the house with the exact same umbrella, I thought? Am I the only person who thinks about this kind of stuff? And so I looked it up. So I paused the video and I looked it up, and it was from a hotel. And I know what you're thinking. What kind of a hotel gives out umbrellas? A very, very expensive one. That's what kind. It was the Renaissance Hotel in King's Cross. I've investigated this fully. It is a magnificent looking place. But if you have to ask how much the room is, you can't afford it. The Renaissance Hotel in King's Cross, just by the Eurotunnel train station. So easy access to get to the European Parliament, where he won't show up for a vote. What does he do there? I mean, apart from blow in, record a YouTube video, and then blow back out again. It's one of the most impressive 5-star hotels in London, and therefore the world. A steak costs you £42. What? Chips are extra. Even the most basic rooms are over 300 quid a night, and they go up to £2,000. That doesn't even include breakfast. So let's assume that Uncle Nige does not bother himself with the most basic room and indulges himself with a suite. All the better to burnish those man-of-the-people credentials. I just hit the wrong one. Well, it's groovy. Begins with the G, which is where groovy and goofy. I keep doing that because they both look the same. They share almost all the same letters, bar one. I should separate those buttons. Never mind, it's too late to play it now. Anyway, he was taken to task, was our Nige. See, now, don't you find that a little bit odd? Maybe they were staying in the same hotel and they came out in a period of enormous precipitation. It's not like the rain took them by surprise. It's been raining for absolutely ages. But they took a peek out, and then the hotel had to, because they arrived unprepared, if you can believe that, had to lend them their brollies. Either that or they bought them out the gift shop. Let's assume that they were a loner. But it looked akin to advertising to me, didn't it? Maybe he's getting a discount. I can carry an umbrella. Where's my discount? Anyway, he was taken to task, was Uncle Nige, and he was told by a highly placed person of some repute that you, Nigel, do not speak for the people of this country. Guess who said that? Liam Fox. You remember Liam Fox, don't you? No! Yeah, that's him. The International Trade Secretary, Liam Fox, told Nigel Farage, our Nige, that he, Nigel, does not speak for the UK on the international stage. He said, and this is a direct quote, "Oi, Nige, put a Union Jack sock in it." It's not a quote. I just made that up. But Uncle Nige does wear Union Jack socks. And I was talking about this to somebody the other day. I only know that because I was in his presence in a meeting that we had. He's got no idea who I am, so I can't say anything I blooming well like. He was sitting there looking absolutely spiffy. He does shine up very well for a gore-blimey man of the people. Everything about him looked incredibly expensive. Haircut, suit, shirt, cufflinks, the lot. Shoes. Of course they were polished. But he was wearing Union Jack socks. Please don't call in. Pedants can put the phone down right now. I know it's a Union flag if we're not at sea, but everyone says Union Jack, so that's what I'm going with. He was wearing Union Jack socks. Now, where can you get nice Union Jack socks? You can't. They don't exist. You get them. It's tourist tat, and it will be made of nylon. Probably be made in China, as his chum in the White House would say. So that seems a bit. That seems like a bum note in that otherwise perfect visage. Not visage. That perfect. The vision of perfection. That is Nigel Farage. Am I selling this a bit too much?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah. But just curious, where'd you get a nice pair of Union Jack socks? Or are your feet swimming in nylon sweat? It's what keeps me up at night. 0345, I'll get into the Liam Fox Nigel Farage beef after the new news. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, Friday and Saturday night at 10. LBC.
On your... This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
0345 6060 973. Ron says, can we have an update on the status of your 2 cars? Just wondering. Oh, don't get me started, Ron. All right, then. The old one, the 20-year-old car, starts to shake like it's going to vibrate itself to bits when you go over 60 miles an hour. And the newer old one, which is 8 years old, doesn't work at all. It didn't work when I bought it. That's how stupid I am. I bought a car that doesn't work. And nothing has happened. I'm just swapping emails with the people that bought it, that sold it to me. Nothing to do with us, they say. And then it's just got down to, oh yes it is, oh no it isn't. You know, that pantomime. Tom says, I turned down a cup final ticket to watch Little Feet. They were great, and my team, the Toon, got beat. Well, you made the right choice then, Tom. But it doesn't say much about your loyalty to the team. And Kath in North Wales says, I've got nice Union Jack socks from Sainsbury's. 5 pairs for £6. No, I'm sorry, but what does the word nice mean in that context? They can't be. A pair of socks for about £1. It says, how is your new old car? Yeah, don't get me started, Kath. I wonder how expensive are Steve Allen's socks, because he famously throws his away after wearing them just once, which, I mean, come on, Steve, that's not saving the planet. How expensive are his socks? Because you would have to assume that they're really, really cheap. Otherwise, is he out of his mind? That man's got more money than sense. Plus cotton, I mean, I'm assuming that they're cotton and not cashmere. Cotton is about the most damaging crop that humans cultivate. It has more fertilizer and anti-insect, what is it called? Insecticide? Oh no, talk about my car shaking itself to bits. I think it's shaking my brain to bits. Insecticide all over it, it's got. It is, I think, bar coffee, I don't think there's any other crop that takes more insecticide than cotton. It's just dreadful for the environment. And Steve Allen's is single-handedly ruining the ozone layer. Thanks a lot, Steve. So you'd assume that they're £1 each? I mean, 50p? I have thought about this a great deal. Am I the only person that thinks about Steve Allen's feet?
No.
Here's Clacton. Hello, Ben.
Oh, you're really amusing.
Thanks, Ben.
Yes, what you have to have a reasonable amount of trust in a Prime Minister.
Yes.
Now, if Boris Johnson said it was raining outside, I would have to look out the window. And that's the type of person you're putting in power in this country. And you can have a litany of bent bananas and blowing up balloons and kids being endangered and standardised coffins and all that sort of stuff. And he said all of them, and we still, I just don't understand how people think in this country.
If Boris Johnson told you that there's a heat wave outside, Ben, you want to pack your hat, coat, scarf and gloves.
That's right. And the problem is it gets very serious when a person like that is in charge. And he's voted for if you look at most MPs, there are sites on the internet that looks at what they actually vote for.
Yes.
And he's voted for every austerity measure the government's actually put forward, which is, according to the latest reports, has killed unnecessarily over a period unnecessary deaths of people because of the cuts.
What, as opposed to necessary deaths?
Well, you know what I mean. Preventable. I use the
preventable. Yes.
Deaths.
I know. Actions have consequences. If you drain money out of the system, then it has consequences for actual real life people.
It does.
Of course, nobody that he knows wouldn't have any consequences for anybody that he personally knows, but I'm sure that some of his constituents may be adversely affected.
Well, those poor, poverty-stricken £50,000 a year people, you know, I really feel... I was crying yesterday because I felt so sorry for them. They're going to give them another tax hike, like they've done for the last 10 years.
Not tax hike, tax cut. That's what you meant, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is Boris Johnson's big idea. It's another one of these. It's the George Bush mantra. You remember George Bush, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he said that he was a proponent of trickle-down economics. Ain't no such thing. Trickle-up economics exists, but not trickle-down. And that's been proven over and over and over again. If you give a tax cut to the rich, or in this case, the super rich, it does not flow back down all over the upturned, expectant faces of the poor and the needy. That's the opposite of what happens. People just buy shares in their own companies to increase the share price of that company, and then by that method they increase the likelihood of getting a super soar-away bonus. That's what that's what companies did with the tax cuts that Donald Trump gave them in America, thereby increasing America's national debt by $1 trillion. I'm not making it up. That actually happened. That's a number so big, I don't even know what it is. $1 trillion.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
He only made $400 million one year, by the way, and that was the year his daddy gave it to him.
But Boris is a sort of doppelganger on a smaller scale as Donald Trump. And that's the big problem we have, and we're going to be stuck with this fella.
Exactly. I think they're cut from the same cloth. I think that there has been a realization around the world since Donald Trump became the President of the United States of America.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. There has been a realization among politicians that you don't really have to know anything. You don't have to research anything. You don't have to have facts at your fingertips because, and to quote the fellow that was sitting next to Aaron Banks when they larked about at that inquisition in front of the Select Committee, nobody's interested in facts anymore. I'm paraphrasing. He said, it's all about feelings now. I think the very phrase was, don't try to argue with facts because it's just white noise to people. And that's about right. Just tell people that everything is going to be super and tremendous and great, and vote for me. And if you do that, then it's quite likely that a third of the population will say, hey, you know what? Why hasn't anybody told me that before? I would like things to be super and tremendous and great. I'm going to vote for that genius.
Well, the most entertaining thing I've watched over the last few years is Boris's performance at the Finance Select Committee, where his friend, he's a good friend of Boris, was chairing that committee. And he said, the words were, come, Boris, we know all that is not true. And of course, if you ever get a chance to watch that, it's really entertaining.
Right, okay, I'll look it up on the internet. It's probably under the title...
A big sack of monkey nuts.
All right, thanks a lot, Ben. 0345 6060 973. What do you think, Boris?
Here we go.
Boris Johnson has promised to cut taxes for around 3 million higher earners by raising the 40p threshold from £50,000 to £80,000 if he becomes Prime Minister. He used the Telegraph, who pays him, how much is it? Like £250,000 a year or more. I think it's more because he stopped doing it for a while, so he almost certainly renegotiated, earning way more than that now. But let's assume it's £250,000 a year for dashing off 1,000 words a week, which, by the way, you remember this well, he called chicken feed. He said if they're willing to pay me that, then that's their lookout, isn't it? So he used the Telegraph to make the case for the cut, raising the 40p threshold of tax from £50,000 to £80,000. He said, we should be raising the threshold of income tax so that we can help the huge numbers that have been captured in the higher rate by fiscal drag. Well, first of all, there's not huge numbers of people earning over £50,000 a year. That's double the national average. Well, they say that it's double the national average. I mean, you will hear that number quoted, £25,000 a year is the national average. But I wonder what kind of average they're using. I mean, can anybody remember their statistics lessons?
Boring!
Were you awake during your statistic lessons?
Negative.
Well, you would have learned that there's 3 averages. There's the mode, the median, and the other one that I can't remember. And people usually take the worst of those averages, the least representative, the least average, if you like, of those averages. They just add up the total and then divide it by the number of people represented. But that doesn't actually give you a clear picture of the situation. And I'll give you an example. Would you like me to give you an example?
No.
If there's a pub in I don't know, pick somewhere horrible. Hull. And I mean this in the nicest possible way, I do. If there's a pub in Hull, then you'd imagine that the people in that pub would be on somewhat less than what we now think of as the national average. Let's assume that let's be generous and say 20 grand. That most people in there earn about £20,000 a year. Now, in the unlikely event that Bill Gates walks in, if you now add up how much all of those people in that pub earn and divide it by the number of people in that pub, everyone in there is a billionaire. But they're not. But that's the actual average. They're all billionaires, on average. See, you've got to be very careful about averages, and I very much doubt that the most common figure for people to earn in this country is about 25 grand. I think it's probably much less than that. But anyway, let's not nitpick. So he said we're going to raise the threshold for paying 40p tax from 50,000 as it is now to 80,000 and above. He said the move would cost £9.6 billion a year, which would be paid for partly, he said, from savings in Brexit no-deal preparations. Does that make sense?
No.
That must be that £350 million a week that we would have been spending on the NHS, if that money had actually existed. Now the money that doesn't exist will be used to give bonuses to the already comfortably off. Well, that certainly sounds like the leader of the Conservative Party talking. The former Foreign Secretary, Bozo of the FO, argued in his column that we should be cutting business taxes as well. This is despite this country having already one of the lowest corporation taxes among the developed world. Among the developed world. Among developed economies. That'd be a better way of putting it, wouldn't it?
Correct.
It's 19% now. Hey, Boris, do you have any policies that don't involve cutting taxes?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Think about it. Jeremy Hunt, the Foreign Secretary, has pledged to use the no-deal fiscal headroom to slash corporation tax from 19% to 12.5%. Dominic Raab, another leadership contender, has previously said that the top rate of tax for those earning more than $150,000 should be scrapped altogether, and that the higher rate of tax should be cut to 35p. See, this is where we're going, and it's just so blindingly obvious. I wind the tape back. I do believe I've said this over and over again. We're going to be racing to the bottom of the barrel to give tax cuts to millionaires, the people who need it the least. And the justification will be that they'll flick us 10 pence once in a while, for which we should be grateful.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Let me remind you about my podcast. Now, full disclosure, I've done this week's, but it's not available on the internet. It's sitting on somebody's computer, which is kind of annoying because I've done the effort, but it's not available for you to listen yet. But I'm going to try my very best to get it by some prestidigitation to squirt it up the internet tomorrow. But the other episodes are available. It's called the Nick Abbot Habit, and I thoroughly recommend it. But then I would say that, wouldn't I? If you've got 30 minutes and you wish to be amused, then it'll be right up your alley. If you have Global Player, then you'll find it on there amongst many other delights that will keep you amused from now until the end of time. Oh, the stuff that's on there, you wouldn't believe it. You can listen back to this show, any show on LBC. You can listen back to any show on any of the other stations that we got here, which are so numerous that I can't even begin to mention them. Well, I certainly wouldn't be able to finish mentioning them because I've only got a 3-hour show. But they're all up there. And we do podcasts as well. If you scroll down to the Global Original Podcast and then way over to the right, past all those excellent podcasts by James O'Brien and all my other compadres, and right at the end there, past my fat smiling face, because that will be just a reissue of this show, it's right at the end. It's called the Nick Abbot Habit. If you don't do apps, then point your computer at it. You'll find it on an internet near you. Ask for it by name, the Nick Abbot Habit.
This is LBC. Nick Abbot on LBC.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Jimmy in Colchester says mode, median and range, Nick, all of which mean average in an average mathematics of maths. What? Does that make sense? Mode, median and range, which all mean average in an average mathematics of maths. Meaningless.
Words, more words.
This says why do you lot keep making fun of Hull? We were city of culture and very polite, you idiots. Well, he's got a good point. Or she, sexist. We were city of culture and very polite, you idiot. Well put.
Be polite!
And Squid tweets, raising the 40% tax threshold to £80,000 might have something to do with the fact that an MP's salary is £79,000. Yep, that sounds about right to me. Yes. Here's Colin Tooting. Hello, Paul.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I was actually on the website, and I was looking at, I'm calling about something else, but I was looking at your photo because I thought I forgot your name for a second.
Yeah, my photograph.
And I was thinking, oh my God, I was thinking like, my God, like, what's his name? So I scrolled back, and you actually look like a little bit like a snooker player.
Well, which one?
You've got this steely look on your photograph looking towards you.
It's not steely.
Like you're chalking a cue, saying, come on.
No, it's not. It's more vacant than steely, I think you'll find.
So, yeah, but you do have that look of a snooker player, I think, who's going to wipe the floor with you. something.
Okay. I'll take it.
So that's that bit. And now I'm phoning in about these wages at the end of the day, isn't it? So if you earn 40,000, you pay so much tax.
Yeah.
And he's going to increase it to 80,000, I believe.
I think is it over 50,000 at the moment? Your tax supposedly goes up to 40.
Is it?
No, I think no. It's 40%. I think over
40%, yeah.
Over some fantastically large amount, it goes up to 45 or 120.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You don't have to worry about that, Paul.
But, I mean, if you think about like the roles people do now, they inject a lot of capital into their company, so they are worth the money that you pay them.
Who? Wait, who? What? Wait, who?
Hang on. Like, if you think about somebody who earns over that amount, say 40, 50, 60,000, they're injecting a lot of their own personal talent into that company. And
maybe they are. Maybe they aren't.
They are delivering like profits for that company.
Well, the person who screws in a widget on the factory floor is delivering profits for that company.
Yeah, but the people who are like involved in the decisions of who screws in widgets, for example, are like delivering that strategy to like better profits.
Well, and wait a minute. You know who else is delivering? You know who else is delivering for better profits is the person in the van who is actually literally delivering the product. Why shouldn't they benefit?
Yeah, but that can equally translate into a man who runs his own business, or a woman, it doesn't matter. Someone who runs their own business can be caught in that trap because they're earning a certain amount more than what the government says they're allowed to before they start taxing them at a higher rate.
Yeah.
But they're introducing their talent and vision into an organisation, company, whether they own it or not, or they're just employed and things. And it's their sort of vision that brings up that company and they make more money. So that should be fair, that the person who has come up with those ideas should be recompensed and things. And
well, they are recompensed, Paul.
No. Recompensated, or
they're recompensated up to their eyeballs. Are you kidding me? They pay the same amount of tax as somebody who earns 25,000 on the first 25,000 that they earn. So there's equivalence there, and the same up to 50 when it changes.
Yeah, but once you get into that higher management level, you get to this point where you've got a crossover from paying basic tax to higher tax.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a grey zone, because if someone offers you a pay rise, you're basically going to say, well, you know what, if you give me that pay rise, I'm going to be paying 40% tax on that pay rise.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the pay rise which you're offering me. So you've got to look at it as your take-home pay as a pay rise.
Yes, but you're still going to be.
How is your take-home pay going to change?
Yes, Paul, but you're still.
A to B
yes, Paul, but you're still going to be earning more money. This idea that
you're earning more.
Well,
money.
let me finish a sentence every now and again, please. This idea that if you are given a pay rise or given the opportunity to do more work, and that work is taxed, even at a higher rate, that it will be a disincentive for people to work hard. I just don't buy that at all. That's just nonsense. Of course people are going to work as hard as they can or want to, regardless of what the tax take is levied on them.
I'm not saying it's about people not working hard. I mean, that's a given. People work hard for their money.
Yeah.
But when you get into that zone of management, which is pretty much what we're talking about higher wages, you're in a management position, then that's when it starts to get into a little bit of a grey zone, because you go from 40,000 and suddenly you're jumped up to 60,000, because it takes into account the previous stuff about, you'll be paying.
Yes, but you understand that higher rate is only levied on the extra amount. You don't get the higher rate on all of it.
No. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's only up to the extra amount, but the extra amount is basically you've got to go from a little bit of a jump from the 40 to the say the 60,000.
I understand what you're saying, but
introducing
But it's still more money, though, Paul.
Well, it's what they're doing is just sort of regulating the market in a way, because lots of industries and organisations now pay well in excess of 40,000 for a manager position, and that's what people dictate, and that's what the private sector dictates, and that they'll be happy to pay that, because, as I said at my intro, there's they said that but they want talent. They want talent and solutions.
Yes,
So
yeah,
they're
okay, all right.
happy
Yes,
to
yes,
pay
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
They're happy to pay that.
All right, yeah, I get all that, Paul. But there's no getting around it. Since the Second World War, well, since the 1960s, the bottom 90%, the income of the bottom 90% has flatlined. We
can say
essentially
through lack of productivity and training, because we haven't invested in our people.
Well, that's not the fault of the people on the factory floor. That's the fault of the highly remunerated management that you are defending.
Yeah, but the management can only go with what the shareholders say.
No, that's complete. The shareholder revolt.
That's bunkum, isn't it?
It just never happened. Just like the Arab Spring never happened, neither did the shareholder spring. We heard a lot about it, and then nothing occurred. But anyway, I got to go, Paul. But I might pick this up in a minute. But in closing, she works hard for the money. So hard for it, honey. She works hard for the money, so you better treat her right. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Look at the time. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
In Britain's conversation, LBC with Nick Abbott.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
Deborah says we should just have a flat rate of tax. Everyone pays the same percentage, whatever they earn. That's fair, says Deborah. No, Deborah. You got that wrong. It's not fair. You know, I bet you are just the sort of person that would complain about the state of the NHS.
Stop whining.
Well, how do you think that the NHS gets paid for? By people paying their taxes. Now, if we don't have enough to prop up the NHS in its current dilapidated state, then we certainly wouldn't have enough to prop it up if we decrease the amount of tax that we take off those who are earning the most. That makes no sense at all. John in Wimbledon says, you are responsible for me calling Barack Obama Obakarama in a meeting today. He says, luckily no one listens to me anyway, so no one noticed. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Joe. Obakarama. You remember Obakarama, don't you? Back when the world made sense, before our dear leader was Ancient Orange, that idiot.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Kath says, do you have any holiday plans for this year? Have you been to Onga yet? Spelled O-N-G-A. Close. Says, I've just finished watching The Wire and I loved it. Thank you so much for the recommendation. What should I watch next? Well, on that subject of The Wire, I can't remember what the character's name was. But there was one character, it was a female character, but she spoke with such a thick accent that even I, who would demur from putting on the subtitles, every now and again I had to stop, pause and rewind and just put on the subtitles to figure out what it was that she just said. But if you like The Wire, then of course you must watch The Sopranos. I'll assume that you've watched The Sopranos.
Absolutely.
Then try Justified. That's an excellent show with, what's his name? You know, the fella from The Thing? Oh, he is great. Breaking Bad. Just pick any American series off HBO and you'll probably do just fine. Steer clear of any British series because you'll almost certainly be wasting your time. David says, one of the best football chants I ever heard was when Quees... Well, I better read ahead in silence because, football chants. Uh-oh, here we go. All right, then one of the best football chants I ever heard was when Queen's Park Rangers travelled from London up north to play Hull City. The Hull fans sang to the QPR supporters, "You're only here for the culture." And on that subject, Chris tweets, "I'm from Hull. How dare you call it horrible? Hull is not at all horrible. So much so that I'm tweeting you from Lanzarote." Here's a call in Stockton. Hello, Dave.
Hiya. Hi, Nick.
Dave.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Good. My question was...
Dave, are we on speakerphone?
Yes, I am. Do you want me to turn it off?
Oh, no. It's worse than I thought.
Nick?
Yes.
Hi, Nick.
Oh, it's like you just stepped into the room. You've just stepped into my life. Yeah, like you're here in person now. Go ahead.
Hi, Nick. My general question is why do people feel that if people are earning more than a certain limit, they should pay a higher percentage? That to me doesn't really make sense. I don't understand why someone who earns more than X amount should pay 50% of their salary, and someone that earns more than a different amount should earn 25 or 30% of their salary.
Well, it
doesn't make sense to me.
Well, okay. Let me see if I can pick it apart for you. Do you enjoy living in an ordered society?
Yes.
Right. Do you enjoy leaning in times of emergency on the health service?
Yes.
Do you appreciate public education?
I do.
All of these things must be paid for, Dave. We are at the moment, even though we are constantly being told that this is the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world, we can't afford that. We can't even afford to keep the streetlights on. And we've got people who are suggesting that we take less tax from those that can afford it the most. That makes no sense.
I disagree, because why should someone that earns, say, £35,000 pay 30% when someone who earns £55,000 pay 50%?
Yes.
If that's the demarcation that's made, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, it does. See, the one thing that people, I'm not suggesting that this is you, but there is a certain misunderstanding that people think when they hear that you pay a certain amount if you earn, say, £100,000, you pay 50%, say,
yeah.
And if you only earn 10,000, you only pay nothing actually. So 20,000, you pay 25, whatever it is. You don't pay the 50% on all of it. You only pay the 50% on that amount that you earn above the threshold. Now, I understand that you get that, but not everybody does.
Yeah, I do. But the point is that the real rich in our society don't pay anything. They pay literally nothing. And that was proved by the Panorama documentary on BBC recently, where that ultra-rich Romanian who was a UK taxpayer paid £35.20 or something like that. But, the normal UK taxpayer pays his rate, and this is what the problem is why I don't understand why the normal taxpayer, the person like me and you that goes to work and does our work and, pays our tax at the rate that we should, because our company pays it for us, or, in your circumstance, probably your company, not the company.
Yeah, in short, we have no option.
Yeah, but the point is that why should there be different rates?
Because I'll put it into numbers. Those that can afford it the least, or the other way around, those that can afford it the most should pay the most. If we had a flat rate, let's say... Wait a minute. If we had a flat rate of, say, 25%, if you apply 25% to, say, £10,000 a year, then that would leave you for the year with £7,500. If you apply 25% on 100,000, that would leave you with £75,000. So that's a bigger number. So those people can afford to.
Yeah, but that's like, to me, that's poor mathematics. Because what I would rather do is work in a Norway type system where people got paid a fair rate. The person who was working, in a coffee shop got paid, significantly more than the person does in the UK.
Well, then be very careful for what you wish for, though, Dave, because Norway, the Scandi countries, tax their citizens considerably higher. With the result that, I should point out, because this is very important, with the result that they are happier. See, people have the idea that if they're taxed less, then their happiness will increase. But it's actually the other way around. If you look at a list of the countries and you rank them on how much they tax their citizens, and then you cross-reference that with how happy they are with the World Happiness Index that comes out every year or so, you'll find that the countries that tax their citizens the most are, coincidentally, the happiest. And those that tax their citizens the least, down to 0% in the Gulf states, those people are the least happy. So it's the opposite to how it's being sold to us.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, the thing that I think we can probably both agree on is that the people that are paying the least are actually the people that should be paying the most, and it's how you actually make those people pay what they should pay. Is what the
right,
real
you're talking about the international criminal super rich and multinational corporations who play one country off against another in order to pay virtually nothing at all, who have located their head office on a moon circling Pluto for tax reasons. Yeah, those people.
And the problem is that actually I mean, I hate to bring it back to this, but the EU system allows them to do that to a certain extent.
The EU system?
Yeah, the fact that the people can relocate to Ireland or to Luxembourg in order to reduce their tax burden.
Well, I think you'll find that the EU is actually trying to do something about that. In that, for as an example, as you brought up Ireland, they are punishing Ireland, so it looks, through Ireland's reaction, by insisting that Apple actually pay their blooming taxes there. And the Irish authorities, meanwhile, are saying, no, we don't want their money. And the EU are insisting that they take it. So I think that if it was a toss-up between a future, let's say, conservative government in this country versus the European Union rainbow coalition, then I would guess that the EU is going to collect more taxes and be in a position to force corporations to pay more taxes than the future leader of this country, who will probably be crawling across the carpet, begging corporations to come here in our post-Brexit desperation. But anyway, Dave, it's been an inspiration. if not particularly funny. Thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. But, it's maths. It's statistics, isn't it?
Boring.
0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I must just remind you about my podcast. The new episode will, hopefully, fingers crossed, if the technology all lines up, will be available on an internet near you tomorrow. But the other ones that I have available, they're up there right now. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. If you download Global Player from your app store, then it's on there. On the scroll down to the Global Podcasts and way over to the right, and you'll find it there. If you don't do apps, then it is available on your PC. Stick it or use Google. Other apps, other search engines are available, but nobody ever uses them. So do a Google search on the Nick Abbott Habit. I think you'll be delighted.
Here.
There will be a short pause.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Kath says, I watched Breaking Bad and The Sopranos on your recommendation. Thank you. You're welcome. What did you think of Better Call Saul? Actually, I'm watching it right now. It's I was surprised, actually, because I won't give you any spoilers, but at the end of, during Breaking Bad, they introduced this character called Saul, and he was like the comic relief. But then they did a follow-up series, like a spin-off series about this character, but it was a prequel, so he hadn't become the character yet, and his character in in this spin-off series wasn't at all like the comic character that we came to love in Breaking Bad. I can't think of any other spin-off where they've taken a well-loved character but then completely changed the character for the spin-off. Because anybody that thought, oh yeah, I really like that guy, I'm going to watch that other series, would have been sorely disappointed because it really had nothing to do with it. Very, very bizarre choice, I thought. But good. This says Snoop. Her name was Snoop in The Wire. That's right. Couldn't understand a word she said. But I wouldn't I wouldn't complain to her directly. Joseph says, any chance of that fabulous book being released as an audiobook read by your fine self? It would really add to its wonderment. Let me think about that.
No.
No. No. God, everybody wants me to do their homework for them. Yeah, I've got a book out. Well, I've got many out. They're collected columns in book form. They're available on as an e-book for those who love the planet. Groovy. And those who hate trees can buy it in paperback. Well, I'm not going to read it to you. God, I've written it. You want me to do everything? East Sheen. Hello, Andre.
Good evening, Nick. Long time no speak. How are you?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
Can I talk about tax?
Yes.
As a person that comes from Jersey and the Channel Islands, I know exactly how to avoid it.
Yes. Live on Jersey.
No, that's not fair. I think the UK has got the most sort of, what's the word? Sort of, I can't think what the word is.
What, good, bad, indifferent? Progressive?
Unfair.
Unfair.
Unfair system.
In what way? Unfair to whom?
Well, unfortunately, there's people that pay it and people that don't pay it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I thought, you sort of stuff your money away in offshore islands and things like that you don't pay the tax.
That's right.
And there's the poor sort of people that are just paying the tax and sort of just have to pay it, and the people with the big money are the ones who are not paying the tax.
Yes. And here's the reason why a flat tax won't work. Because the amount of times that you hear, oh, well, if we just tax the super rich at a flat rate of 10%, some economists will come up with this ridiculous number. Let's just assume 10% would prevent, in their eyes, somebody who was earning, let's say, £100 million a year from squirreling their money away in some benighted offshore island and leaving the country in order not to pay any tax. It wouldn't happen. Here's why. Even at 10%, if you were earning £100 million a year and you had to pay tax at 10%, well, the actual percentage number is pretty attractive. 10%. Who wouldn't want to pay tax at a flat 10%? That sounds great, doesn't it, Andre?
Yeah, but it's Russian roulette, though, isn't it? You push it from one island to another island to somewhere else to somewhere else. So they never catch up with you, do they?
Yes, that's what they do. But here's why a flat rate won't work. It's because it's not the percentage that's the issue. It's the amount that the percentage is levied on that's the thing. Because if you tax somebody's £100 million income at 10%, that's a cheque for £10 million they're going to have to write. What? Nobody's going to want to do that. Even if you're only, he said, waggling his fingers in the air to denote inverted commas, only earning £10 million a year. If you get taxed at a flat 10% rate, you're still going to have to give up £1 million. Who's going to do that if they don't have to? And so it's got nothing to do with what the percentage rate is. It's the amount that it's levied on that's the thing.
All right, then. I'll just come back to the UK and be a pauper then.
Okay. All right. I'll see you at Dover. I'll flick you 10 pence if that's any help. Sue in Worcester says, Better Call Saul is so good. Stick with it. Lots of characters pop up from Breaking Bad. Yeah, I know they do. But it's not. It's the opposite of Breaking Bad, though, isn't it? It's just not the same at all. It's just really odd. I mean, Frasier was a spin-off from Cheers, but the character was exactly the same. It's the same with anything. Anything that's a spin-off or a sequel, it's... You see this with films. What do people... The producers think, what do people like about that film or that sitcom? Let's just give them that again, but change it ever so slightly. But with Better Call Saul, they changed it 100%. They've completely, utterly changed the character that would have drawn people to watch that programme. It's a very odd decision on their part, but I do like it. Georgina says, Charles Tyrwhitt sell nice Union Jack socks. Do they? She says, I would recommend them, and you can get them at a bargain price at Bicester Village. Huh. I don't know. There's just something not right about that, isn't there? Union Jack socks. I mean, it's putting the flag of this great country of ours on your feet. That's just rude. Jim says Scandinavian countries also have small populations in comparison with us, which makes spreading money around so much easier. No, it doesn't. Therefore, individually better off. The richest countries in Europe per capita are the smallest in population terms. What, are you talking about Luxembourg? There's a good reason why Luxembourg is the richest country in Europe, and it's got nothing to do with a small population. It's because the entire country is one great big bank. And not like a bank like we know in this country. I know everything there is to know about Luxembourg. Nobody knows Luxembourg more than me.
I know a lot about wind. I know a lot about wind.
I mean, that's apparently the way you denote expertise these days. You just say that you know more about a subject than anybody else, and it becomes true.
Affirmative.
I know more about Luxembourg than anybody. And it's just really, really dull. It's so boring there. It's a lovely looking place. I'd like to visit it again for the weekend, but I lived there for, 10 years, 1 year. Ugh, so boring. Everybody works in a bank, but they're not the kind of banks that we have. You know, you walk into a bank these days and it looks like... These days they look like the airport lounge in a small town. In a small town that you wouldn't think would have an airport, it looks like the airport lounge there. Like Southend Airport VIP lounge. You go into the bank and you think, where's the bank? You go into a bank in Luxembourg and, they got all the marble that's not currently residing in the Vatican. It is just incredible. They are palaces to money in Luxembourg. They know how to do bank. Don't you worry about that. That's why Luxembourg's so rich, is because all they do is move money about, move other people's money about on a screen. But that has very little to do with the quality of life there, which, believe me, if you're thinking of going and living there, stop right there. Let me save you the pain. Just say no. Just say no, thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite!
Joseph says, any chance... Oh, no, I've read that. Peter says, why is there this belief that it's the people at the top who create the wealth, when in reality it's the workers that create the wealth? Without workers, there are no companies or public services. I am amazed at how greedy some people are who want low taxes. Taxation is the price of civilization, says Peter. Well, that sounds about right. For a communist... John MacDonald, the Shadow Chancellor, said pretty much exactly that. He said, just as I predicted, the Tory leadership race is degenerating into a race to the bottom in tax cuts. When there's 4.5 million children in poverty, 1 million elderly in severe poverty, the schools' budgets and our police service stretched to breaking point. This is the Tory priority, he said. Yeah, well, that sounds about right.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello! And I can't stand him.
Sam says, have you watched Lucifer yet? If not, I would strongly recommend it. No, I have not, Sam. And I don't want to, and you can't make me. Kenny says, I found a picture of Nigel with his mouth shut. It was after the recent election result. Still smarting, eh, Nige? Oh, well, better luck next time.
We should have a second referendum.
No, just the one will do in that case. Dylan says, I can't wait till Boris is PM so we can start buying things with sovereignty and independence. That's right. I can't wait till our next leader is an unelected Prime Minister who answers to an unelected head of state and is overseen by an unelected upper house. Finally, we'll have brought democracy back to this country. Surbiton. Hello, Diana.
Hello.
Diana.
You said that the NHS is paid by tax.
That's right.
It's not paid by tax. It's paid by NICs, and that's National Insurance Contributions.
NIC is National Insurance Contributions, but the NIC does not pay the NHS.
Well, it's paid into the NIC contributions are paid into the Treasury.
Yeah.
So that means it does not go straight to the NHS.
Wait, so you've just changed your mind in the last 2 seconds? First of all, you said it did, and now you said it doesn't.
No. But that was the originality. When it came in, the NHS in 1948, Mr. Bevin, what introduced it, said that the way of paying for it, we're going to, each and every one which is earning a wage is going to pay NIC, National Insurance Contributions. And they are, because I'm 77, I don't earn...
77 years old.
Yeah.
You made it, Diana.
And I don't... and as I say, it's quite a lot of money you do pay out your wages in NICs, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's on how much you earn.
Huge.
Yes.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the NHS. And I don't know about ancient history, Diana.
Shouldn't it? Because where does all that money go?
Oh, well, who knows? They just...
I suppose it pays for their drinks round in the
exactly. They just spray it up the wall.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, only a very small amount of the NIC goes to the NHS. And many other acronyms as well. Because I think National Insurance Contribution gets us about... I'll just have a wild stab in the dark, about £150 billion a year. I bet that's right. 140, 150, something like that. Yeah. But the NHS alone is 100 billion. But most of the NICs go to giving old age pensioners, such as yourself, the luxurious lifestyle that you've become used to.
Yeah.
with your state pension. That's where most of it goes.
Oh, I'm glad you look at that one.
So now you know. All right, thanks a lot, Diana. Here, isn't Donny 77 years old? Isn't he actually 77 years old? Isn't it his birthday today? Isn't he 77 years old?
I think he is today.
Yeah, I know it's his birthday today. And I know what he's given the American people.
The American dream is dead.
Yeah, happy birthday. Dylan says, I read that. Tony says, Steve Allen once said he buys multiple packs of Pringle socks. And Kim says, Steve Allen wears sandals. No. Not with socks, surely. Simon says there aren't three averages in statistics. Only the mean is an average. The mode is the figure amongst the data captured, which occurs most often, and the median is the figure which is in the middle when put in rising order. Gosh, that's interesting, isn't it?
No.
Statistics. I love statistics.
Boring.
I'm sitting here looking out the window, just yearning for double geography. People start talking to me about statistics. Anyway, there's more. Do you want to hear more?
No.
He says, in terms of earnings, I believe £27,800 per annum is the mean or average, with 23,000 as the mode and also the median. Yeah, all of which is incorrect information, I bet you. I bet that most people do not earn anything close to £27,000 a year in this country. Or even 23,000. Just get out of your bubble, Simon. Donald Trump is 73 years old today. 73 years old. You'd think he'd have grown up just a little bit. He would have developed a thinner, a thicker, not thinner. That would be him. He'd be see-through if he developed a thinner skin.
Oh, shut up!
A thicker one. Just to become, I don't know, a bit more presidential.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
0345 6060 973. Let's have... Who's been waiting the longest? Your beautiful downtown Brighton. Hello, Joe.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Joe.
I agree with you about the tax. I mean, it's only going to benefit the Philip Greens. Someone's doing a startup company is not going to enjoy those kind of breaks in the first 3 years of starting the business. So I totally agree with you. It's a con job to do trickle-up economics, as you say. What they should be saying is that we're going to have a $5 billion startup enterprise fund like what Dubai did with Media City, encouraging people to start businesses to build up the tax what will be spent in this country rather than yachts costing $500 million.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a yacht. You can buy a £500 million yacht, and you know what's going to happen? Bill Gates is going to park his £600 million yacht right in front of your sunset.
Exactly. It's a con job. It's exactly what you said, what the Bush has done. And it doesn't work because they just find ways to filter out the money to all these hidden little places around the world.
Here's the problem with giving well-off a tax cut. It's not an inducement to harder work or greater wealth creation. It's just a windfall based on what they already do. If, as you just described, if they give a tax cut to new enterprise or to spending money on research and development or moving things forward, then that makes sense. Extra effort and extra wealth creation should perhaps, you could argue, come with some sort of a benefit or bonus from the government in terms of reducing tax. But if it's just you pay 40% on 50,000 on above 50,000 now, and we're going to give you a windfall so that you only pay 40% on over 80,000. Well, that's just giving people a bonus for not actually doing anything extra.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I was a bit disappointed that Ledson didn't mention that. I thought she would have thought of some kind of enterprise scheme based on her background with Barclays. But no one's mentioned it. It's the obvious little con job tricks, what they mentioned about tax. I mean, to the average person, seeing all the high street shops shut down, I mean, it's not, if it's shutting down like this, what's it going to shut out when you put it down that low? Every shop will be shut on the high street.
Well, I think unless, anything could happen in the next 5 minutes, really. I mean, everything's been thrown up into the air as far as the high street and just our way of life is concerned. So, I mean, people might decide en masse to turn their backs on internet shopping, but I kind of doubt it. And if they don't, then we can kiss goodbye to what the high street looks like now. I mean, it may turn out to be, in 10, 20 years, who knows what might be invented. It might turn into something even better. But the possibility is that it's just going to be a ghost town.
There's a place called Kemptown in Brighton where they've mothballed all the shops. It's happened in Bournemouth. It's happened literally in every town on the south coast. Is like where they had the antiques district and all the boutique shops. They're being mothballed into homes.
What, in Brighton?
Well, yeah, the bottom of Kemptown. A lot of the shops are...
I don't know where Kemptown is. You're not talking about the lanes, are you? That cute little tourist area.
No, Arena. You've got quite a few little antique shops, but a lot of shops have been turned into homes.
Right.
But the lanes are thriving, and Brighton is such a good place. You have entertainment every night. It's got a good scene.
Well, Yeah, I can't wait to go back there. I'm just looking for a break in the weather. I mean, fingers crossed, maybe they will get one before September. I'll have my yearly holiday, a day out in Brighton. I can't wait. All right, thanks a lot, Joe. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Let me just point you in the direction of my podcast. It's the best of this show with some extra bits that I either couldn't or wouldn't put out on the air. It's a half an hour of amusement. That's the idea. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. If you point your pewter at it, then you will find it on an internet near you. Or, better, download Global Player from your App Store and you'll find that it is among the delights that is offered therein. The Nick Abbott Habit.
This is LBC. Is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Dylan says, I can't wait to... Oh, no, I've read that. All this... I'm way ahead of the schedule. I've got no idea where I'm going, but look at the time. Colm says, Hull City were briefly in the Premier League. I was living in London as a West Ham fan, and we once travelled to Hull City on an away game. Hull's a dump, says Colm. Well, don't sugarcoat it to Colm. Tell us what you think. Hull's a dump, he said. And after the match, on the way back to the train station, West Ham United fans were handing out £20 notes to all the Hull locals, saying, oi, mate, take this and go buy yourself a house. I very much doubt they were doing that. Moses said, I think we should scrap income tax for everybody entirely and double the VAT. Why is work being punished, says Moses. Even rich people need to buy things. This way they would not be able to avoid paying taxes. If you buy more, you pay more. Simple. Well, you wouldn't get in remotely enough money that way, and it would punish those... It would punish even more those with less. I mean, if you're poor, you still got to buy stuff. So that makes no sense. If you just thought about that for, I don't know, a couple of seconds, 3 seconds, you'd have figured that out yourself. Paul says, I know what film Brexit reminds me of, The Wizard of Oz. He says, if anyone doesn't know the plot, a girl named Dorothy wakes up in a strange land, lost, and wants to go home. Some jokers tell her the great and powerful Oz will send her home. She and her friends set out to locate the Great Wizard of Oz in Emerald City, but when they get there, they discover that he's a charlatan. He hasn't any magical powers, but he tells Dorothy that she always had the means to get what she wanted if she just looked within herself. Oops, I should have said spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
Well, don't tell us. Oh, and right at the end, Bambi's mother gets shot. Thanks a lot, mate. And Lawrence says, what's that song you always hum while listeners in Glasgow wait while you check their weather? Oh, I made it up. What, the one that goes... Yeah, I made that up. That's mine, that is. Fulham. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Nick.
Paul.
Brilliant to speak to you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm a high rate taxpayer.
Yes, high rate taxpayer. Yes.
Thanks to my Brunel degree in engineering.
Really?
And I can't believe what Boris Johnson is coming out with, because the fact of the matter is, if they give you a tax cut on what you take home, it hits you more in the pocket in other ways. So your insurance goes up, all local services go down the pan. Yeah. And it's so much better to pay a bit of tax and get the public services we need.
Precisely.
And it also means that, I'm the chair of my local residents association on a small council estate, and some of the people there are really, really hard up, and they're so reliant on a bit of state support.
Why are you? Why? Just curious. Are you a higher rate taxpayer, but you live on a council estate?
Well, it's just I lived on a council estate, and I then went to university, got my degree, got married. My wife, funny enough, she was a graduate from Brunel as well. Unfortunately, she died, so kind of like here I am. in the same place. I did, hand on heart, I bought my own council place so I could do it up because the council haven't got any money to do it up. And that's where I am. I was born in Fulham. So were my parents and my grandparents were here after the First World War.
So your position is that people should pay more tax in order to avoid the necessity of buying their own health insurance, for instance?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, I can't pick a hole in that argument.
Sorry, mate. No. Because if you look at the American system, and one of my sisters, she lives in the United States now, so she's given me a good rundown on it. So it's all well and good, the insurance, and you do get really good healthcare there. But say you need a heart bypass or something like that, so you have it. But if you don't go for a quadruple bypass, you're going to be in serious problems later on because it will then be an existing condition and you won't be insured. So you've just got it's a bit of a one-trick pony policy.
Yeah, life is a pre-existing condition, I think you'll find. But it's the American system is often held up as the alternative to the system that we have, but that's not true. Nobody in their right mind, even the Americans, if they started at zero, would not create the American system. So there's other much better systems that are much closer to us, like Germany and France and Spain and Italy and the Scandi countries and all of these other places which have a supposedly better system with better results and more impressive outcomes for a wide range of conditions than we have in our country. So it's not the alternative to the NHS, the way it's run, free at the point of use, is not necessarily the American system where people, even you would think comfortably well-off middle-class people, are cutting their pills in half or just not going to the doctor at all because they know that they can't afford it. That's a terrible system that they have over there, but there are much, much better alternatives. But no, I agree that, and it's indisputable, really, a higher rate of tax, not necessarily the headline rate, but just in the overall, does appear to lead to a happier population, assuming that the government takes that money and uses it to good effect, rather than spending it on weapons of mass destruction, for instance.
I think that really sums it up, and I would point out that when they brought the last, well, it's not really a tax cut, but they raised the thresholds for higher rate. What they did at the same time was they cranked up national insurance. So the net improvement was very, very small, unless you're right up in the sort of hundreds of grands a year category, which obviously I'm not.
Most tax cuts, regardless of who they are supposedly aimed at, end up benefiting the top 10%.
Yeah, and I think the core of the problem is the lack of money spent on public services. Yeah, and the only way you get public services is you have to pay tax somewhere in the system.
Exactly. It's the things that we take for granted that are the things that create happiness in the population, because they create a feeling of security, and it's the sense that you won't, if you miss a payment on your insurance or you happen to get ill, you won't just drop through the net to crash on the floor, which is what happens in America. That's why people are somewhat on edge there. You know, I can't think of any other reason why people would be on edge there.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
So it must have something to do with the health service.
But that's so right, because I got, with my first wife and I, we got caught out in the recession in the early 90s, and if it wasn't for the social system, we'd have just been written off.
Yeah, and the stuff that we take for granted is the most important things, and you only realise how important they are when they're either gone or you're in danger of losing them. Paul, I've got to go, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Joss tweets, that song you sing is The Girl from Ipanema, you idiot. What? That is so rude.
Be polite!
Chris says, that tune that you sing sounds like the Girl from Ipanema. Anne says, it's not your song, it's the beautiful and haunting Girl from Ipanema. No, you're all wrong. It's my song. I'm going to get a cheque so big through the post you wouldn't believe it. It's going to be a cheque as big as that one that Noddy Holder out of Slade gets in January after Christmas. All you got to do, you want to earn £1 million. Just write a song that everybody plays at Christmas. You only need to write one song, just one. Barry in Burton says, happy birthday to Donald Trump. I hope he had a great day. Roll on 2020. Yeah, what you mean, his impeachment? We're going to put him behind a wall.
I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall.
Yeah, it should be really, really high wall. And when you're presented with a really, really high wall, there really isn't anything you can do to get around it.
If there's a concrete wall in front of you, go through it, go over it, go around it. But get to the other side of that wall.
0345 6060 973. Let's have Shadwell. James.
Yes.
Yes, James.
Is that Nick? Hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to give you a different interpretation of the word meekness. What do you define by that? What do you construe?
By what?
Nick? Meekness. What do you construe by the term meekness?
Meekness?
Yes. What would you say?
Well, it's just like 20 questions now.
Well, this is one question.
You want me to tell you the definition of the word meekness?
If you define the term meekness with the word money, what do the meek do? Week on week, year on year. After long, they make money. That's it. What do? They inherit the earth. Goodbye.
Well, did any of that make sense?
No.
Well, it fitted right in. Thanks, James. We appreciate it. Just don't ever call the show again. What's the definition of meekness? I don't know, being frightened. No, that's not quite right, is it? Meekness, it's a certain timidity. Oh, I bet I got that right. I bet if you look it up on the World Wide Web, it's the word timid comes up. I bet my glamorous assistant wants to do that straight away, if not sooner. He's going to look it up right now while we wait. I'll sing another song that I just made up. I'm just coming up with this stuff off the top of my head. I must be some sort of musical genius. Timid, showing a lack of courage or confidence, easily frightened. I was too timid to ask what I wanted, see? Completely correct in every respect. Jen says, years ago I lived in Luxembourg by the Pont Adolphe in the capital city, and the only law enforcement I ever saw was when police cautioned people who put their washing out on a Sunday, or who you... That's about right. Yeah, that sounds like Luxembourg. The only law enforcement I ever saw was when the police cautioned people who put their washing out on a Sunday or who used their noisy electric blinds in the blocks of flats after 8 p.m. Yeah, it's one of those places where everybody's got those metal shutters on the outside of their windows. It's funny we don't have that in this country, because apart from anything else, it keeps the light right out. And it enhances security. You can't break into that stuff. Why do we not have shutters here? Anyway, Jen says neighbours would call the police on each other for the slightest thing, and the police would always show up. There was no real crime for them to deal with. It was a surreal experience. Everywhere was immaculate and well run, but dull. I couldn't wait to get home again to the chaos of the UK, says Jen. No, me either. I lived there for 6 months. Plenty enough. Enough time to know that I'd like to go back to visit just for the weekend, but I just couldn't live there. So boring. Oddly, though, now I don't know if this is still true, but if you look up the statistics, you'll find that Luxembourg actually jails more, above the highest rate of its population of any country in Europe. I think that that's actually true. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Well, perhaps. I don't know who they are. Maybe they're those Sunday laundry criminals. I'd say that the death penalty is probably, that's going too light on them. At the very least, the people who do their laundry and put it out on a Sunday should go into the corner to think about what they've done, and they should take this with them. 0345 60. It's not a Chinese laundry, you know. As my neighbour downstairs once yelled at me for putting my laundry in the window upstairs, because the sun came in the window, so I put the laundry in the window to dry. And she was a very posh lady. She said, "It's not a Chinese laundry, you know." 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC, where the time is just past 12:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
What number are you calling from?
Thanks for asking. It's 0345 6060 973. Paul says when Boris becomes PM, he's going to be expected to deliver on all these promises that he made before the referendum. 350 million for the NHS, and we can have our cake and eat it, to name but two. Becoming PM is something he might end up regretting. Honestly, I can't imagine why anybody would want to do that now. I mean, now of all times. I couldn't understand why Mrs. M seemed so keen to take it over when she did. But now is really, really a bad time to do it. I mean, why would anybody want to do that? You'd have to be off your chump, which is very worrying for all of us, because our next Prime Minister may be off his or her head. And I don't mean that in a...
want to score some pot?
...kind of way. Although that's possible too, after the recent revelations, which surprised us all, didn't it?
No.
Not really. Bloomsbury. Hello, Sophia.
Good evening, Nick.
Sophia.
Glad you are keeping us thrilled through this ludicrous situation that we have at the moment.
Oh, thanks.
I'm doing really well because I'm recording a lot of music on the microphone.
What?
And then after that, it's written on the... I remember it all, but they write it out for everyone else to see if they can sing it. But mostly I get the microphone back again. So that's progress. And then everyone is buying my novel. And my publishers are thrilled. And, well, some of them are actually buying it, but the others are all reading the copies that the first person bought.
Right.
But there is a bit of progress coming along.
Well,
there.
you're making...
At least a million.
Yeah, you're making a lot of sense, Sophia.
Thank you. I usually have to. They say I'm a brain box these days.
Who says that?
A lady that I know that is trying to run a company, and I think she doesn't do too badly, but there you go. I just want to say that...
There's more?
We want to know why we've got this pantomime.
We?
Well, the population, us. I mean, we're not interested in the private life of the MPs or why the MPs are taking over the media all the time, and why are they disclosing these events from their past. What's that got to do with us? How is that going to improve our life?
Well, it might not be in the public interest, but the public are interested in it.
That's the problem, but I mean, if they didn't lock away some of my CDs I made, and they were put forward a bit more readily without having to go through this torturous progress, then the public could listen to them rather than what happened 20 years ago for MPs, because that is not tactically clever. I mean, if you want to understand how to run things, you use good tactics, and you don't just come off with off-the-cuff revelations of what they did 20 years ago. I don't really want to know. I mean, I was doing a psychology degree to begin with. But
wait a minute, back up, Nellie. You did a psychology degree?
Honest psychology degree, yes.
Right. Well, I think that answers a lot of questions that we
Yes, I know. It's quite a problem. But I still think that what's happened in their past should disqualify them altogether. And I think there's nothing wrong with hearing that lovely lady talking for a change. and without going into the private life of who might be in number 10 and why, he had this ambition for at least 10 years anyway. And anyway, why can't people maintain their own bicycles without having served up to them? They can pick them up from a hangar somewhere. That doesn't guarantee that he's got any competence in running anything.
Well, you certainly are making a lot of sense, Sophia. So you did a psychology degree, you say? Now, is that the same phenomenon that a hairdresser will have the worst hair of anybody that you've seen that day? Is it more or less the same kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah. But thanks a lot, Sophia. You've given us a lot to think about. Paul says... You know what I heard during the course of that telephone call? Mostly I heard a little bit. Paul says the best Pink Floyd album, without question, is Animals. Are you kidding? The second best is a tough choice between Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. Well, yeah, it's a no from me. And furthermore...
No.
The best Pink Floyd album is Animals? Kath says sundry laundry criminals are playing at the Isle of Wight Festival, aren't they? Sunday Laundry Criminals. That is an excellent name for a rock band. Somebody should definitely use that. Sunday Laundry Criminals. This says we can't have shutters because they're European, and Brexiteers would go into meltdown if we had them over here. Oh, yeah. Filthy European window ornaments. Paul says, when Boris becomes PM, he's going to be No, I've read that. Jim says, I remember back in 1976, or was it 5? Well, come on now, Jim. 76 was the greatest summer that there ever was. Plus, it was the beginning of punk. Nobody had heard of punk in 1975. Not really. And I don't believe the summer of 75 was anything much to write home about. So, be specific. Anyway, he says, I remember it was 76 or 75, and I was working and listening to Kenny Everett. And he played a track from ELO's new album, Out of the Blue. A double album. Was it? Out of the Blue was a double album. Is that true? Was that the one with Don't Bring Me Down... Osh? Love that track. Anyway, he said at the time he loved the album so much, Kenny Everett loved the album so much, he said, I'm going to play all of it. And he did. Yeah, that sounds like Kenny Everett. 80 minutes non-stop ELO, which, I like ELO, but in much the same way as I like ice cream. But you don't want a 3-course meal of it, right? Actually, I wonder if it's still available on the World Wide Web. You know that Leeds is either going to or has held the Commonwealth Games. Has it happened already? Commonwealth Games. Has that been and gone?
Oh, I'm afraid I don't know.
No, nobody really cares. If it's not got the Olympic rings appended to it, nobody's remotely interested. But they did a handover from the previous Commonwealth Games holders, who were, I can't remember, somewhere abroad, I forget. But anyway, the point of it is they did a live video, which is one of the best things I've ever seen. And it was to Blue Skies. Ding, 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 ding. The sun is shining in the sky. That. It was the Commonwealth Games handover, and Leeds took it over. And was it Leeds? Yeah, Leeds. No, not Leeds. What's the other place? Oh, what's
Birmingham?
Birmingham is the correct answer. Not Leeds. I am such an idiot.
Correct.
It was the Gold Coast in Queensland, and they handed over to Birmingham, not Leeds, Birmingham.
Affirmative.
And Birmingham put on this show. They did a live video. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's still available on the World Wide Web. You should definitely go and check it out. It's to Mr. Blue Sky by ELO. And I LOVE loved it. This says, what is this?
These are the songs on the ELO double album.
And it is actually a double album, is it?
I think so. Well, there's 4 sides. So
well,
yeah.
That doesn't... So that's two records of 2 sides. Huh. Of course, Monty Python managed to fit 3 sides onto Matching Tie and Handkerchief. Does anybody remember that? That was a bit of a shocker. If you didn't know it was on there, then you'd have been much surprised when you put the needle on the record and the drum beat went like this, as opposed to how you were used to hearing it. They put 2 grooves. So the needle would fit in either one of the grooves, and on the same side you'd hear a different side, if that makes sense. 0345. Does any part of this program make sense yet?
No.
No. Well, we've got 15 minutes to go. But we're getting better in every way. Every minute that goes by, we're getting better and better. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Let's have a call in Newcastle. Ken.
Good morning, Nicholas, the Chief Abbot of LBC. How are you this morning, my friend?
Super duper. Thanks for asking.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Now, I'd like to explain to you what the meek actually means. There's a gentleman called to you to explain what meek actually means. He didn't do that. Whether you cut him off or he just left, I don't know. But if you'd allow me, I'd like
had to
explain
go.
to you.
Yeah, no, you don't have to explain to me. I've already given you the definition of meek. Timid.
No, your definition was incorrect.
It was completely correct in every respect. Timid.
No, I'll tell you what it is.
Meekness is timidity.
No, it's not.
I believe it is. Look it up in a dictionary, Ken. I'm going to send you the good book through the post.
Listen, the meek are those who are humble and submissive to God.
Timid.
No, that doesn't. No,
it's timidity.
The meek are actually very courageous people. The meek are those who depend on God.
It's the opposite of that.
Now let me explain.
If you are meek and timorous, then like a wee mouse about the hoose, then you are guilty of timidity, Ken. I think that you will agree with that. Unfortunately, we are in concord on that issue. How did he squeeze in, by the way? I didn't even know who I was talking about for a minute there. Nick, have you heard the word of the Lord? Have you brought Jesus into your life, Nick? That guy. Chronic caller every single week, and it's always the same call. Ugh. But anyway, it's been a delight to talk to you, Ken. And keep on keeping on. Apparently he's still talking.
The meek?
Yes, he's still talking. Wouldn't it be great if you could do this in real life? If some bore cornered you in a social function and he could just mute them. Wouldn't that be marvellous?
Let's allow some free speech, Nick.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can speak as long as you like, Ken, just not on this show. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You know, I still haven't got around to the Liam Fox versus Nigel Farage Farrago. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Liam Fox was having a right go. So, in the meantime, here's a call which I must take straight away. I believe it's a very important missive from Paddington. Hello, Richard.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tax. Everybody hates it.
Yes.
But without it, you'd have a very, very bad society.
Correct.
In so much as people, where you have countries where you have a political upheaval, it's usually caused because the rich are getting away with a lot more than the poor, or taking a lot more from the poor, and this has gone right through history. If If you go through down to, if you go further back to the Roman times.
Oh my God, this isn't going to be a history lesson, is
No,
it?
it's not. But it was the one thing that the Romans feared, and every empire feared, is inflation. And inflation was caused by devaluing the money, and the rich class, the patrician class, taking more out of the system than they were putting in. And unfortunately, when people...
I don't know, is that economically true?
Well, yeah, well, historians say that. It's not just me.
Oh, well, experts, you mean?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But if you look through society, every time you look for the basis of a society, it's always formed around tax. If you go to Mesopotamia, if you go to the ancient Greeks, the Persians even, there's never been a taxless society. The only reason why it gets taxless is when the upper echelon start contributing a lot less than they should do and get all the rewards. Now, when people talk about turning the society and changing society, I say, no, you don't need that. You've got a tool already there. It's called taxation. If the rich have too much power, they take too much power for themselves. If the poor have too much power, they take power for yourself.
Right, wait, back up. When did the poor ever have enough? Never mind about too much power.
No, what? So what? Okay, I'll rephrase that. When you got a situation like the Soviet Union, when you got lumpen gangsters take over a whole state and an empire,
yeah,
which is basically what.
But that's not socialism, though. That's not communism, and it's not socialism. That's
no, of course it's not. It's definitely not neither.
Kleptocracy.
But what you said about the Scandinavian countries is correct. If you look at the highest, happiest countries in the world, the best countries to live in, they're all high-taxed Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
And the people
they're all high tax, and they take care of their citizens with the tax money that they spend. What they don't seem to spend it on is what our priorities are, which are buying weapons of mass destruction. That seems to be our number one priority. There's no end of money to pour all over the methods of killing people in large numbers. But there does seem to be a budget when it comes to taking care of people.
Correct, and it's the arms business, the arms industry, it has to be one, if not the biggest industry in the world, and the reason that we put money into to do defence. Now anybody would say, well, of course that's a no-brainer, but when you have a situation like the United States where they have no universal health care, they've got a very bad fundamental education system, the infrastructure is falling apart, but yet they spend $600 billion a year.
No, it's more than that. They spend more than the next 10 highest spending countries put together. It is staggering how much the America spends on, well, they call it defense, but it's actually attack. And this idea that Donald Trump has been putting out, that other countries are stiffing America by not paying their fair share. The fair share part, America spends more, but they don't spend more in order to protect us. They spend more because the American economy seems to be a method to take money from the people and give it to the military machine. And the method by which they do that is the almost constant state of war that they're in. They're always picking a fight with someone.
I'll bring us into war.
And the next ones, of course, they're being set up like mugs, are Iran.
Exactly, and you can see exactly what's going on today with the so-called tanker thing. The Bay of Tonkin, which started off the Vietnam War. It's a similar situation, and he's biting at the bit to start a war.
Well, he says he isn't, but I think that whether or not he is, I doubt very much that Donald Trump is actually in what would appear to be control of major issues like who they go to war with. I think that those decisions are being taken above his pay grade, above his level of understanding. Even though he is a very smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
As he would be first to tell you. But it does seem a bit curious that at this point that America is chiding the rest of the world for its lack of spend on defense, which seems to be, we're spending quite a lot. I mean, let's face it, hundreds of billions of pounds on weapons that we'll never use, that we'd have to be insane to actually press the button on. What are they for? And why do we, a tiny, and I know you're not going to like this, but relatively insignificant island off the coast of Europe, why do we need to spend that much money on so many weapons? It would be like your local branch of your high street bank having a machine gun mounted on the counter. It's overkill. It's completely unnecessary. Unless it's not actually about defence at all. Unless what's actually happening here is a transfer of wealth from all of us to a very small and highly profitable business called the privately owned military machine.
Or the industrial military complex.
Yeah, the complex, exactly right.
Well, that's about the same situation that happened in the 3rd century AD in Rome. They kept on having too many wars. So,
my God, this is like a history lesson.
Boring!
All right, thanks a lot, Richard. I'll read the book later. In fact, I'll wait till it comes out as a video. How does that sound? Paul tweets, why is everyone called Paul tonight? That's a good question, Paul. Leave it with me and I'll look into it. Val in Surrey says, the meek shall inherit the earth. That's if it's all right with everyone else. Oh, no. Listeners with material. I'll make an exception for you, Val, in this one case and one case only. Dowlin Hove says, I think the meek are those who are easily frightened by naked cyclists. Well, that would be me then. Just the thought of it. I mean, I hope that they all use their own cycles. Or, at the very least, they all use their own saddles. This says, ELO did a track called Fire on High. I'm sure you remember it. No, I don't. Back in the old days of vinyl records, if you stopped the turntable and spun the record the opposite way, the lyrics said, the record is reversible, but time is not. Turn back, turn back, turn back. Of course, you needed a proper needle to be able to do that. Don't do it with an ordinary needle and an ordinary turntable. You need some Technics turntables and a proper needle. All that scratching is making me itch. Put the needle on the record and the drum beat goes like this. Mark in Harrow says, the best Pink Floyd album is Wish You Were Here. Well, let's not pick fights between Wish You Were Here and Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, they're both in the top 10 best albums of all time, so let's just not argue about it, eh? Eric said, I heard you mention that hideous country rap song. It's true, my son showed it to me as part of a meme. It's horrific. I used to like Billy Ray Cyrus' Achy Breaky Heart, best song of all time, says Eric, who is clearly one sandwich short of a picnic, as in Achy Breaky Heart is the best song of all time? I am stunned. How can anybody think that? What do you think, Kanye?
Whoop-dee-dee scoop poop.
Exactly. Now, the podcast is available. A whole series of podcasts. It's the best of this show and some extra bits in there, which is called the Nick Abbott Habit. I can commend it to the house. It's a half an hour of amusement, and there's loads of episodes of it on the internet. If you've got a Global Player, if you download that from your app store, then you'll find it on the podcast section there. Or you can point your internet at it and ask for it by name, the Nick Abbott Habit. The latest episode of which is recorded, but due to a technical issue, is not on the internet, but I am promised that it will be there tomorrow. So we'll find out when we get there, eh? Now, if you stick around, I expect that Steve Allen will set you straight at 5 o'clock. But right now, it's Matt Stadlen.
Nick, have you heard?
Oh, well, I have, actually. Thank you.
Well, let me just elaborate for you.
No, you needn't.
Well, just for your own sake, and possibly one or two others.
I've heard it already.
Well, I'm going to say it anyway. Have you heard, Nick?
Yes. Yes, I have.
A man who has called women that wear the burqa letterboxes.
Yeah.
Someone who has made contact with Steve Bannon. Someone who wrote a poem suggesting that the Turkish President Erdogan has had sex with a goat. He hasn't, I hasten to add. Someone who has dismissed Barack Obama's views on the count of him being part Kenyan. Someone who has used the highly offensive words pickaninnies and watermelon smiles. He's going to be our next Prime Minister.
Here we go. Okay.